I'm Chris Hansen, right now on Crime Watch Daily from here in New York. An adorable 5-year-old.
Happy birthday to you.
A horrifying car wreck.
It crushes you. You just can't understand it.
Little Daniel Dana tragically lost in what looks like a fiery accident. But a clue hidden in the back seat will reveal something much more sinister.
It was a premeditated, horrific crime.
Crime Watch Daily's Michelle Sagona with a story of shocking betrayal, revenge,
They were using Daniel as a pawn.
and an unspeakable crime.
What did he do that was so bad
that he had to be murdered.
and set on fire?
Then, a Crime Watch Daily update. A teen vanishes, and the trail leads to the last place his parents ever imagined.
I could barely hear myself think with my heart pounding in my chest.
Their close family friend keeping a dark secret in his small garage, and it opens a can of worms.
How many boys subsequently have come forward?
Right now,
Andrea Eisenser with Crime Watch Daily.
Jason Matera with Crime Watch Daily.
this
I'm Elizabeth. I'm here with Crime Watch.
I'm Michelle from Crime Watch Daily.
Anna Garcia from Crime Watch.
is Crime Watch Daily.
Stay off my property.
We'll find you again. We always do.
Welcome to Crime Watch Daily, everyone. I'm Chris Hansen. First up today, paramedics rush to an awful scene. A car is engulfed in flames. A mother and her 5-year-old son inside. What first responders wouldn't know is that terrible accident was more of a setup. Michelle Sagona is in Maryland now with details.
A heartbreaking tragedy.
One firefighter says, "Is that a body?"
A 5-year-old boy killed in a fiery car crash.
There was, in fact, a small body in the back of the car, which was Daniel.
His mother badly burned.
She's suffering from burns over 35 to 40% of her body.
Fire investigators sift through the charred wreckage
There was just something odd about it.
and uncover a dark secret buried in the back seat.
It was a premeditated, horrific crime on one of the most vulnerable among us, a 5-year-old little boy.
Happy birthday to you.
No one ever thought this would be Daniel Dana's last birthday.
Beautiful video of Daniel at his 5th birthday party, surrounded by his father, and a grandmother, and an aunt.
Daniel was a bright, curious, soon-to-be first grader who loved karate and playing his guitar.
You can see the love, you can see the happiness, and you can see Daniel's beautiful smile and face. Daniel was a beautiful child who was loved.
The only thing that made the little 5-year-old sad, his parents' constant fighting.
They met in Iran, got married, and shortly thereafter he brought her to the United States. I think it was challenging for the marriage.
Attorney Mary Beth Ayers says Narges Shafeirad and Hamid Dana's marriage was doomed from the beginning.
They're actually related. They're first cousins, but not biologically. She was adopted.
Court records show the Iranian immigrants had filed restraining orders against each other. Prosecutor Steve Chaikin says there were even allegations of abuse.
There was a lot of going back and forth with arguing, text messages.
Their bitter divorce was followed by an even nastier custody battle over little Daniel. Ayers says Narges was jealous over a young nanny Hamid had hired and was livid when Daniel spent time with them.
Seems like at this point she was willing to do anything and to go to any length to make sure that child would not spend time with his father.
Yes, and I think the way she saw the child was kind of spoils of the custody war.
Hamid in turn hired a private investigator to prove Narges was an unfit mother.
He wanted custody, and it was horrible. They were using Daniel as a pawn.
The day before the final hearing to determine which parent would win primary custody of Daniel, Narges asked a friend to borrow his car and drives to Daniel's school in Gaithersburg, Maryland.
Talk to me exactly about what happened.
It was the last day of school, and she picked up Daniel. She took him to a lot of different restaurants, and then just started to drive around.
Sometime around 3 a.m., Narges decides to drive Daniel to Ocean City, Maryland, about 4 hours away for a spontaneous beach trip. But they never make it. On a dark, twisting suburban road, Narges loses control of the car barrels over a concrete median, and the car explodes into a fireball.
In the distance, I saw a vehicle that was like on fire.
You saw the actual vehicle on fire.
Paramedic R.G. Kepke just happened to be returning from another call and rushed to the scene.
What's the first thing you did when you actually got out to the vehicle?
I asked the bystanders outside if there was anybody in the car. Some of the bystanders said there was an individual on the ground on the other side of the car.
It's Narges face down on the asphalt, writhing in pain.
Was she badly burned?
Some of her clothes were burnt off, and she had some dark colored skin going on. So she was talking, she was screaming, and I asked her if there was anybody else in the car, and she said her son was in the car. But the car was still on fire.
The desperate mom pleads for Kepke to save her only son, but all 4 of the car doors are locked.
The whole inside was covered with smoke. All the windows were dark. I was able to bust out a window, open some doors. I didn't see anything except like a bunch of blankets on the floorboard. And I didn't see a child's car seat or anything in the back seat.
Moments later, a Montgomery County fire engine arrives and firemen extinguish the flames, but there's no sign of Daniel.
What did you do at that point?
I still asked if she had her son in there, and she said yes. So I didn't know if she was like out of her mind, like, you know, maybe she thought he was there, but he wasn't.
Narges is rushed to a burn trauma center in grave condition. Firefighters then begin digging through the still smoldering car. They find heartbreak.
What did you discover?
The firefighters discovered a body in the back seat. It looked like we covered up by blankets.
Did you actually see Daniel in the back seat?
I saw part of him.
Daniel is burned beyond recognition. But it's where his little body is found that raises eyebrows.
It wasn't until you figured it was wrapped up and pushed down in the back seat. It wasn't in the car seat that you started going, okay, this isn't right.
Fire investigator Joel Shackett and a crash reconstruction team are called in to determine how the car caught fire and, more importantly, how little Daniel died.
Was the fire pretty significant?
To the interior of the car, yes.
Police photos reveal the car's badly charred interior, but oddly, there's little damage of any kind to the outside of the car.
It just didn't seem to be adding up. For something that had that much action, you'd think that it would be a very high-speed collision.
And even stranger, the car's fuel tank was completely intact.
There was nothing wrong with the vehicle.
There were no leaks. There was nothing that was broken during the collision. Fuel tank, fuel pump, fuel lines.
If there was no damage to the fuel tank, then what would explain this?
Several people had said that they smelled something that they believed was gasoline.
Up next, was Daniel's death a tragic accident or a twisted cover-up?
What did he do that was so bad?
So bad that he had to be murdered
and set on fire.
We return to today's Crime Watch Daily Mystery about a Maryland mother who was badly burned. Her son killed in a tragic car fire. Let's head back to Michelle Sagona.
Chris, a 35-year-old mother is covered in burns. Her car engulfed in flames, and her 5-year-old son is dead in the back seat. But as investigators would take a closer look at this accident, a much different picture was revealed.
Fire investigators in Gaithersburg, Maryland are about to uncover the most heartless crime imaginable.
They saw that there was something that wasn't right.
When rescuers arrive on the scene, they initially believe 5-year-old Daniel Dana is the innocent victim of a fiery crash.
When you're there and you see this little body in the back.
It crushes you. You just can't understand it. But we have a job to do. We have to find out what caused this fire.
Daniel's mother, Narges Shafeirad, who was driving the boy to the beach that night, is also severely burned and rushed to a burn unit.
Mainly her hand, so I thought at that time that she was maybe trying to put the fire out.
By all appearances, a horrific tragedy. Until an arson dog gets a whiff of something truly terrible.
The investigator that was actually up on the car said he thought he had an odor of something similar to gasoline.
The odd thing? That odor is not coming from the outside of the car. It's from the inside.
It was on Daniel's clothes. It was on the blanket Daniel was wrapped in. It was on the front seat. It was on the floor in the front seat. It was along the door rails. It was on the floor of the back seat where Daniel was located.
What investigators can't figure out is how the gas got there.
We found no mechanical problems with the vehicle at all.
This was just an odd scene from the beginning, wouldn't you say?
We finally figured out that there was something more than just a car fire after an accident.
Cops head to the burn center to speak with little Daniel's mom. She's in grave condition, but offers up a strange explanation, claiming she was hauling 2 gallons of gasoline in the front seat.
She actually gave an excuse to say that
she was supposed to be going to the beach and she didn't want to run out of fuel.
Narges tells investigators she filled 2 water jugs with gasoline in case she couldn't find a late-night gas station on their way to the beach, stowed them in the passenger seat, forgot, then a short while later lights up a cigarette, and the car erupts.
She had fumes on her right hand, and that's what ignites first, is her right hand. And then some of her body ignites as well, and then she throws herself out of the car.
The distraught mom's explanation, while bizarre, seems feasible. But it's what Narges doesn't ask investigators that raises real suspicion.
She never once asked the police about her son. You know, is he dead? How did he die? And didn't even shed a tear.
Do you think she had any plans at all to go to Ocean City, Maryland?
Absolutely not. I think that was a made-up story. Anybody who has any sort of small life experience knows that there's gas stations between here and someplace that's at least 4 hours away.
As detectives continue to sift through the scorched wreckage, they hit what they call an aha moment.
The gas tank in the car wasn't even full. So when she said she filled up the extra gasoline in the containers just in case there weren't gas stations on the way to Ocean City, we know that's a lie because she didn't even fill up her own gas tank all the way.
Then this. Prosecutor Steve Shafeirad says detectives discover someone tried to torch the car before it erupted into a deadly fireball.
We can see the attempt on the right side front door. You can see the charring where somebody took a lighter and actually just tried to light the car on fire. That didn't work.
Could it be possible? A loving mom douses her 5-year-old with gas, lights him on fire, then stands back and watches him burn to death.
We believe that she's now using the gasoline to sprinkle it on Daniel, and it even reached his underwear.
Then the most shocking revelation of all.
The medical examiner told us that he didn't have any soot in his lungs. So that means he wasn't breathing at the time of the fire.
He was already dead.
So Daniel was already dead.
Up next, if the 5-year-old wasn't killed in the fire, how did Daniel die?
This was an attempt to cover up a brutal murder of her own child and make it look like an accident.
Five-year-old Daniel Dana did not die in a tragic car fire. His death was not an accident, it was murder.
At what point did your investigation take a turn down the homicide path?
The very second we were informed from the chief medical examiner's office that they were going to call it a homicide.
The medical examiner says the little boy was dead before the first flame. Toxicology reports show he was poisoned, given a fatal dose of diphenhydramine.
What's interesting is diphenhydramine is not a drug that you find in average children's medicine. You really only find it in Benadryl. But that's not medicine that you give to a child to bring down a fever or for a cold or anything like that. It's medicine you would give to a child for allergies, poison ivy, a rash, none of which he had.
And the amount of the drug found in little Daniel's body? Horrifying.
He had 2.5 times in his blood what would kill an adult.
Daniel's mom, Narges Shafeirad, tells detectives the fatal overdose was also an accident, claiming she unknowingly gave her only son too much medicine for his cold, then panicked when he stopped breathing.
She gave her son, Daniel, at least a bottle of liquid, maybe more.
An accidental overdose? Not likely, but nobody wants to believe a mother would kill her own 5-year-old son. Then police uncover this text message Narges sent to Daniel's father months earlier. It explains in detail the proper dosage of medicine to give Daniel for a cold.
It wasn't as if she was clueless. She knew the exact amounts like any good parent should.
And the most heartbreaking news out of the Montgomery County Coroner's Office, this sweet little boy actually tried to fight for his life against his own mother.
He had injuries to his eyelid, to his cheek, to his face, to parts of his face, because physically the medicine was forced down his throat.
What's really horrifying in this case is that there are injuries that are fresh, that the medical examiner said shows no signs of healing, which means that they most likely occurred right around the time of his death.
She was jamming it down to his mouth.
Yes, to making him take it.
Prosecutor Steve Chaikin says Daniel's brutal murder and cover-up was staged by the one person he trusted to love and protect him.
She planned it, she executed it, and instead of calling 911, she went and poured gasoline on it.
Detectives believe Daniel most likely suffered for hours while his mother drove around, force-feeding him medicine and waiting for him to die.
And at the exact moment when she needed to be a mother, she made a decision to go get gasoline to burn her son in the car to make it look like an accident.
Once Daniel was dead, cops believe Narges then stuffed his little lifeless body in the back seat of this car, doused him with gasoline, and set him on fire.
He couldn't even defend himself.
What did he do that was so bad?
So terrible and so bad that he had to be murdered and then stuffed in a car.
And set on fire.
This was an attempt to cover up a brutal murder of her own child and make it look like an accident. He burned to death, woe is me, and to gain pity and sorrow because she was the victim in the case.
Prosecutors believe Daniel's death was a cruel case of revenge. Narges was trying to get back at her estranged husband, Hamid Dana, for divorcing her and trying to take Daniel away.
Father wanted custody more than anything. Mother stopped that from happening because she killed him. Father will never get custody.
Court records show Narges sent Hamid this haunting text message just days before Daniel's death, saying simply, "I will make you cry. You will be sorry."
They were using Daniel as a pawn. And in this war of divorce, the spoils of the war was murdered.
Instead of dragging everyone through a trial, the mother in this case actually pled guilty to her charges. And Crime Watch Daily was inside the courtroom on the day of sentencing.
Cameras were banned, but what I witnessed was raw and emotional.
You were fighting hard today for the maximum sentencing.
Yes.
Because you believe this was premeditated.
Absolutely. It was an extremely premeditated and determined murder.
Narges Shafeirad begged for mercy, telling the judge she was a broken woman. The prosecution believes it was a desperate act for a lighter sentence.
I actually looked over at her at one point, and she was doodling, drawing pictures in her notebook.
Daniel's father, so heartbroken, he tried to speak, but couldn't, instead releasing this written statement. Daniel didn't pass in an accident. He passed because this woman wanted to get back at me and seek revenge for divorcing her. No human should do this to her own child. No parent should have to bury their child. Then Circuit Judge Nelson Roop delivers his sentence.
Judge Nelson Roop of the Circuit Court for Montgomery County gave Ms. Shafeirad, who was the mother of Daniel, a sentence of life suspend all but 50 years.
Did the judge get it right today?
I think justice won today, and that is always something great to take home with you.
But firefighters want Daniel's father to take something else home with him.
The fire isn't what killed Daniel. And at some point in time, I hope that he's able to at least understand that his son is now in a better place, and at some point they will meet again.
At sentencing, Daniel's father, Hamid, also told the judge the last words he spoke to his son when he was dropping him off at his mother's house the day of his murder. He said, "Please be strong." Daniel responded, "Daddy, I'm strong. You be strong." Hamid is now living up to that word, devoting his life to being an advocate for children who were victimized by domestic abuse.
Up next, their son's mysterious disappearance.
I got a sinking feeling in my stomach.
I'm not ready to let him go.
Leads a couple to a suspicion they don't want to believe.
I could barely hear myself think with my heart pounding in my chest.
As the 2-year anniversary approaches, Caleb Deal's father gives our Jason Matera his theory on what happened.
That I believe with every fiber of my heart that you've murdered my son.
That's next.
Next week will mark the 2-year anniversary in the search for Texas teen Caleb Deal. Just 2 weeks after his 18th birthday, Caleb would borrow a family friend's truck. He would never be seen again. Jason Matera is in Texas now with the details.
For the parents of now 20-year-old Caleb Deal, life has become a waiting game.
These things happen, they go on, but then all of a sudden, wow, is this a possibility in our life now?
Waiting for him to miraculously walk through the front door, or waiting for the news they dread to hear.
I'm not ready to let him go. I wanted to still think there is a chance that they're wrong.
One thing is for sure, nobody has seen any sign of Caleb since the day he disappeared nearly 2 years ago, and now Crime Watch Daily has new developments in the case. Caleb disappeared from his mother's house in Nacona, Texas, about 100 miles northwest of Dallas, with a population of just over 3,000 people. It's a small town with some heavy baggage.
If there's any good thing that could come out of what has happened to Caleb, is the exposure to the reality of what took place and the denial that so much of this town has been under. They can no longer live in this state of denial.
Caleb Deal is the youngest of the family, with 3 sisters and a brother.
Tell me about your brother, Caleb.
He was a baby. He was mama's boy. He was awesome, really outgoing, friendly. Everyone loved him.
Fearless. He wasn't one to back down from anything, really.
Caleb's sister Courtney is the last one to see him alive on a Monday evening when he heads out the door. And nobody has any idea where he's gone.
He said he was going to visit a friend. His friend wasn't even in town. We found out later. It was the last time I saw him.
And according to police, the friend in question later says that he and Caleb never had any plans to meet. It's a question that has plagued this family for days on end. Where on earth is Caleb? And what happened to him?
Did anything seem unusual?
No, not at all. He had just applied for a job, and he was planning on going back that next day for his interview.
Caleb is driving a Chevy pickup truck borrowed from this man, Ricky Howard, a family friend with a wife and 3 kids, and a close friend of Caleb's family as well.
But whitewater rafting, all of the family, their kids were very close in age with all of us. We got along really well.
Ricky Howard is a successful and popular businessman in town, but with a checkered past. A former bank president, he was convicted and served time on bank fraud charges in 2007. But he still keeps his friends close.
He was a good friend. He was the kind of friend that if you needed something, he was the first one to be there and help you. He was a kind, enjoyable guy to be around.
Caleb works odd jobs for Ricky, who has investments in farming, cattle, and oil wells, and owns several properties in the area. In fact, police say that the last known person that Caleb contacted before his disappearance was Ricky Howard.
What did Ricky Howard say they were talking about?
Work. Ricky Howard told us that Caleb had told him that he was wanting to borrow the trucks to go to Oklahoma, where he had met a girl and worked for her uncle. Nobody else knew anything about it. That's just what Ricky told us.
Knowing what you know now, do you think that story is believable?
To me, my opinion, no.
And when nobody in the family sees or hears from Caleb for 2 days, one of the first people they contact is Ricky Howard. He tells them the same story about Caleb running away to Oklahoma.
That was the first anybody, none of us had heard anything about some job. He was supposed to be going to school. So that was just kind of unusual.
2 days after Caleb disappears, Tammy Deal files a missing persons report with the police.
Never would he just leave and not tell anybody. We were all too close, and he was too close with his brother and sisters.
But even as she heads out to file the report, the borrowed pickup truck suddenly shows up the same day. But without Caleb. And police and the family are stunned at exactly where it turns up. Of all places, right smack in the middle of Ricky Howard's locked garage.
She called Ricky Howard and told him that she was fixing to go to the police and report him missing. About an hour and a half, give or take, from that, Ricky Howard calls the police department and said the truck that Caleb was in, which belonged to Ricky Howard, was found inside his barn.
And police say the truck in Ricky's garage raises some important questions that are still unanswered to this day.
Was there anything unusual inside the truck?
There were 3 $100 bills zip tied to the stern wheel. The key to the shop, which is normally above the walk-in door to get in the shop, was in the seat of the pickup. The shop was locked up. The only other person that could have access to the shop was Ricky Howard. It was kind of suspicious.
Nobody has an explanation for the money zip tied to the steering wheel, but Ricky Howard fully cooperates, giving cops permission to search his property, and they make some more curious discoveries.
He had guns and stuff in a gun safe.
Was that illegal?
Yes.
Did he realize that he was a convicted felon and couldn't own these weapons?
I'm sure he did, but it didn't stop him.
Ricky is charged with illegal possession of firearms, and cops stay focused on finding Caleb and any evidence that can help. But something is missing.
When you searched Howard's properties, I mean, the guy was running a business, you didn't find any computers?
We didn't find any computers that were up and running. Now, we did find some that had been destroyed and burnt.
According to police, Ricky's place is a hotbed of destroyed technology.
Caleb, obviously, is a teenager. He has a cell phone. Was his cell phone ever recovered?
His cell phone was never recovered by us. After interviewing Ricky Howard, he stated that he found a cell phone smashed in the shop when he was taking the garbage out and threw it in the garbage. And the time the truck was found, the garbage had already been picked up. So we have no evidence if that was Caleb's phone.
Police comb the surrounding countryside with dogs searching for any sign of Caleb. But as they ponder Ricky Howard's story, the Deal family only worries more for their son's fate. Something isn't right.
I got a sinking feeling in my stomach because things just weren't adding up. I had the what if in my mind.
But it isn't until Chad says he meets with state and federal lawmen that he becomes truly alarmed.
All the pieces of the puzzle that had the Texas Rangers and the FBI persuaded that Ricky was most definitely involved with Caleb. That was their persuasion. And so I couldn't ignore, these professionals in the line of business they're in.
There is no move to charge Ricky with any foul play in Caleb's disappearance. And the Texas Rangers and the FBI have not responded to our request for comment. But Chad says he cannot return until he clears the air with Ricky Howard.
I tell everybody there at the table, I want them to know that I've loved the Howard family for a long time. And I didn't want anybody to think that I didn't love or care about them, but that I needed to talk to Ricky alone.
Next, Chad goes face to face with a man he once called his best friend, demanding answers.
I could barely hear myself think with my heart pounding in my chest.
Now back to a Crime Watch Daily update. Where's Caleb? Signs are up all over the town of Nocona, Texas, with one simple message: bring Caleb home. The 18-year-old vanished nearly 2 years ago after borrowing the truck of a family friend, a man who's no stranger to trouble with the law. Jason Matera is in Texas now with the latest on the search.
Rumors and speculation engulf the small town of Nocona, Texas, in the days and weeks following the mysterious appearance of the pickup truck in Ricky Howard's garage. The last person seen driving the truck, then 18-year-old Caleb Deal, who borrowed it from Ricky. His fate remains unknown, and his family is left living in a limbo of fear and worry to this day.
Allie, any theories on what happened and why?
I have absolutely no idea. I know a lot of people want to go to that Ricky did something to him and that he's gone. But it's very hard for me to go there. I need proof.
Courtney, your mom said it's difficult to take any more family photos with all her kids because Caleb's not in them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just before we came inside, we took a picture, and there's just something missing. There will always be something missing. I mean, there was 5, 3 girls and 2 boys. Now I feel like we have 1 brother instead of 2.
I didn't know what else to do. I was tired of dealing with things in my mind and asking questions. I wanted to ask Ricky Howard some questions.
Unable to remain silent, Chad heads to Ricky Howard's house and confronts him man to man with his suspicions. It's a dramatic and frightening encounter.
Well, I took my chair and I squared it up to the table and I looked at Ricky. I said, well, Ricky, I want you to know, and I want you to hear it from me so it's not rumor, that I believe with every fiber of my heart, my soul, and my mind that you've murdered my son. No expression of sadness, no outshowing of anger. He said, well, I'm sorry you believe that. I said, well, that is what I believe. And I gotta go. And I got up and I turned around and I walked out. I didn't have to get into the reasons why. I believe he knew why. It was the most intense moment of my life, for sure.
Chad has his theories and police have their suspicions.
Is Ricky Howard a suspect in Caleb's disappearance?
I would say Ricky Howard is a person of high interest.
Of high interest.
That's what I would say.
And to be clear, Ricky Howard has not been charged with any involvement in the disappearance of Caleb Deal, as his attorney Bob Estrada will gladly tell you.
Why do you think Ricky Howard is the focus of the investigation into Caleb Deal's disappearance?
I think he's the focus of the investigation because of internet chatter.
Internet chatter?
Yeah, right. There's been a lot of it. There's different websites, there's different talks, there's lots of innuendo, but so far there's been no proof.
But in the course of the investigation into Caleb's disappearance, other shocking developments now come to light. It happens when police interview a man who once worked for Ricky Howard.
So you're interviewing this individual who used to work for Ricky Howard when he was a teenager, and out of nowhere he just says Ricky Howard molested him?
Right. During the interview process, he goes on and states that.
And this happened over 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
How many boys subsequently have come forward?
At this time, I want to say 5 or 6. Several of them are outside the statute of limitations.
How many are within the statute of limitations?
As of right now, I believe 2 or 3.
It's 2 decades old, this case. How confident are you these charges are going to stick?
I'm confident.
The Deal family says they don't know if Caleb was victimized by Ricky Howard. But looking back, they can only wonder.
It just didn't add up. Coupled with, we had begun to spend lots of time with them as a family and nothing added up. The characteristics didn't manifest themselves, so we were just friends.
I looked at pictures of us on vacations with them, you know, and I think we all look so normal and happy.
Ricky Howard made a plea deal, guilty to 3 counts of unlawful possession of a firearm. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison and could be paroled as early as next year. But his attorney, Bob Estrada, says he's going to fight the sexual assault charge.
The pleas for the aggravated sexual assault is not guilty.
One of the people they interviewed who worked for Ricky Howard, he came clean and said that Ricky Howard molested him 20 years ago and 500 times over a 4-year period.
Think about that. 500 times over a 4-year period, and he says nothing.
Because he was a boy.
He still said nothing. And he was able to talk.
Do you know why he said nothing? He said that Ricky Howard kept a rifle in his truck, and he was scared.
This is a rural area. People keep rifles in their truck all over the place.
So then, what about the fate of Caleb and the truck he was last seen driving mysteriously showing up in Ricky's garage?
What does Ricky Howard think happened to Caleb?
I can't get into what Ricky Howard thinks happened to Caleb.
Has he told you?
I'm not going to answer that question.
And how about those burned computers cops found on Ricky's property?
You know anything about that?
I don't remember seeing torched computers on a list of seized items.
It's weird to hear, I'm sure you would admit, to hear someone had a burned computer.
Well, how do we know it's Ricky's?
It was at his property.
That doesn't mean it was his. Other people had access to the property.
But he does have at least one theory about what really happened to Caleb.
There are other documented stories of people who have walked off and started a new life. There are other people who simply start a new life somewhere else. And at 19, he'd be able to do it.
In the meantime, a family continues to hang on and wait for answers.
As a mother, your hope is that your son is still out there alive.
And until they can really show me some kind of proof, I don't know if I'm ever gonna not have that hope. There's just that feeling, there's always a feeling, you can feel it with all of us, that it's not right, and that it will never be right unless he comes home. I just miss him. I miss him so much.